Hey guys, let's get more news from Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your like. Steelers workout pair of tight ends Monday. Hessa's name is especially notable. He spent his entire career under Arthur Smith, the Steelers' new offensive coordinator. Undrafted in 2019, he spent his first 2 seasons in the NFL on the Tennessee Titans practice squad before following Smith to Atlanta from 2021 to 2013. Appearing in 28 games and making 8 starts over that time, Hessa mostly served as a blocker, catching just 14 passes. He logged 817 offensive snaps, most of his time coming in 2022 when Kyle Pitts was limited due to injury. Undersized at 6,022, 253 pounds with 32.5-inch arms, Hessa is a bit of a tweener, but Smith's offense has featured those types over the years. In Tennessee, he had Delanie Walker, and in Atlanta, he had Jonnu Smith, also with Smith in Tennessee, and Michael Pruitt. Hessa has primarily played tight end but also logged time at fullback. Per PFF, he recorded 95 backfield snaps in 2022 with another 448 coming at tight end. In 2023, 13 snaps came at fullback. Smith's offense features a fullback, and Hessa could get an even bigger look in that role. Hessa played his college ball at Iowa, a defensive end who recorded 181 tackles and 13.5 sacks during his time with the Hawkeyes. He made the switch to tight end during the preseason of his rookie year. It would be no surprise to see the Steelers sign Hessa to their offseason roster. Allen hails from Eastern Kentucky. In college, he caught, ran, threw, and even dabbled at punter. He switched to tight end late in his career. Allen has yet to appear in an NFL game. The Falcons worked him out early in 2023, though he didn't sign with the team. He tore his ACL and missed part of the 2022 season, his final year of college, but should be at or near full health now. At his pro day, he measured in at 6,037, 244 pounds with 30.25-inch arms. The Steelers' current tight end depth chart consists of Pat Freiermuth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, and Rodney Williams. Pittsburgh usually carries 4 to 5 tight ends in training camp. At fullback, the team inked Jack Coletto to a reserve/future deal after spending part of the season on the team's practice squad. We'll update you if either player signed a reserve/future deal in the next day or two. Roger Goodell says Rooney Rule still necessary after wave of 4 minority HC hires. The NFL is taking a victory lap over the fact that 4 NFL teams have hired minority head coaches this cycle. Commissioner Roger Goodell, however, argues that continuing to implement and enforce the Rooney Rule remains a necessity. While the Rooney Rule has changed shape a number of times under Goodell, the core principle has remained the same. It requires that teams interview minority candidates for positions of power. Head coach or general manager searches require 2 such interviews. Coordinator positions require 1. The Pittsburgh Steelers, for example, had an opening at offensive coordinator this offseason. They interviewed 3 candidates, including 2 minorities in Jared Johnson and Thomas Brown. They hired Arthur Smith, who is as white as I am, but he also had the strongest resume, by far. The Rooney Rule got its name from the late Dan Rooney, the former Steelers owner who championed issues of equality. The original rule came about following a particularly brutal firing cycle in which the population of minority head coaches plummeted by half. With the latest round of hirings, the population of minority head coaches doubled. At least, after factoring in the firing of Ron Rivera. Joining Mike Tomlin, Robert Saleh, Todd Bowles, and DeMeco Ryans are Antonio Pierce, David Canales, Jared Mayo, and Raheem Morris. Pierce served as the Oakland Raiders' interim head coach in 2023. Mayo was anointed successor to Bill Belichick in his contract with the New England Patriots. Of those 8 minority head coaches, Tomlin is alone in the old guard. He's been on the job since 2007. Saleh has the second longest tenure, and he became head coach of the New York Jets in 2021. 7 of the 8 minority head coaches have only been hired in the past 4 seasons, with half of them new to the job. But there are 29 current head coaches who have only gotten their jobs since 2017. In addition to Tomlin, John Harbaugh and Andy Reid are the only others who have been in their posts for a decade or more. Even advocates have come to criticize the Rooney Rule over the years. For one thing, it had not been producing the intended results. Many argue that teams only go through the motions before hiring a predetermined candidate. These token interviews are the subject of an ongoing lawsuit filed by former Steelers assistant Brian Flores. Recent tweaks to the rule have included incentives for teams to develop quality minority candidates. If a team hires a head coach or general manager from another team's staff, the second team receives 2 third-round compensatory draft picks. That coach must have been with the team for at least 2 consecutive seasons. As for the NFL, Goodell said that he sees the Rooney Rule staying for the foreseeable future, calling it beneficial. "We'll continue it," he added. Analyst slaps Pittsburgh Steelers with harsh Kenny Pickett reality about why teams should go after Kirk Cousins. In making a case for why the Pittsburgh Steelers are an ideal destination for veteran quarterback Kirk Cousins, Pro Football Focus Brad Spielberger indicated that Kenny Pickett just doesn't look like a fit for the style of new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Cousins is obviously an upgrade over Kenny Pickett. There's no denying that. But the other main reason Spielberger argued the Steelers as a landing spot for Cousins was he doesn't view Pickett as a fit for Smith's offense. "Arthur Smith can change, I'm not saying he can't," Spielberger said. "But what he does historically, and what Kenny Pickett and this offense has done, not the same thing in any way, shape or form." Spielberger used outside zone runs and play-action passes as examples. According to the PFF analyst, the Steelers were in the bottom third of both of those categories with Pickett last season. But Smith's offense with the Atlanta Falcons was ranked in the top 2 in both during 2023. Even without Spielberger's research, it doesn't take much to believe and buy into the notion that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be better with Cousins than if the team continued to stick with Pickett. The Steelers have enough Pickett samples to decide on whether they'd continue starting him or look for another QB outside of the team. In 25 games, including 24 starts through his 2 seasons in the NFL, Pickett has passed for 4,474 yards and only 13 touchdowns with 13 picks thrown. In 2023, the Steelers had one of the most anemic offenses in the league, averaging only 17.8 points per game and 187.8 passing yards per outing, 28th and 25th in the NFL, respectively. The Minnesota Vikings have the biggest offseason of the Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell era approaching them heading into the 2024 season. 2022 was an overperformance of epic proportions as they pulled off 13 wins in O'Connell's debut season, pulling off some of the best fourth-quarter performances we will ever see. 2023 may have a significant asterisk on it based on the way that Kirk Cousins was playing in the games before his season came to a screeching end with his torn Achilles. As Minnesota heads into 2024, there are far more questions than answers. What does year 2 of a Brian Flores defense look like? How can you maximize this roster while continuing to build toward the future? Who is playing quarterback? Like the competitive rebuild mantra, we look to balance finding the answer to some of these questions with outlining the biggest priorities for the 2024 offseason. And you fan, what do you think of the Kirk Cousins situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.